Welcome to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for joining us. If you have a legal issue that you need a court to resolve, before you fork over all that money for an attorney, there might be a middle ground solution that's free. We're talking about mediation. So Hal Albright and Mark Batson-Burrill from the Neighborhood Mediation Center are here with me to talk about that. Thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Ariana.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. This is such a cool resource that I would imagine a lot of people might not know is even an option. So let's start with the beginning. What is mediation exactly? How does it work?
Great. I'll field that one. Thank you very much. Yeah. So mediation is a conflict resolution tool. A lot of people call it a alternative dispute resolution tool because it is not litigation. It is straight up negotiation with the help of a mediator, a third party, a neutral. There's a lot of different names for it. And there are a whole bunch of different types of mediation within the mediation field. So you have a conflict. You're trying to catch it before it goes to litigation, before it sees a judge, and set up a negotiation that will save money, that will save time, that will save relationships, that will end stress, all of that kind of stuff early. And so mediators do that at the very early level, like we do, before it hits the court. Sometimes as it's just hitting the court. Other mediators hit it when it's already reached a judge, and the judge orders you're going to mediation before we go to the next stage. But it is a process that you enter from one end by learning what the stories are. You bring the parties together, whether it's 2 or 50 people together, into a space where they get to talk about the why, what happened, the details of what happened, and then they get into the idea of what's going on for them and what are their key needs. And then it's the job of the mediator to set them into a negotiation, given those interests, given those things that they actually have to have out of this negotiation, what's possible in that negotiation for them all to agree to, and then you continue on to some kind of an agreement, whether it's a handshake or written agreement or whatever that might be. And then in some cases there's peacemaking at the end of that, which means that, okay, you've got an agreement. Oftentimes that's the easy part. The hard part is then keeping that agreement after it's been made. And so you've got a whole series of steps after that for making sure it does last and that it's durable.
So then what you decide in mediation, is that legally binding?
Great question again. It is, so it can be. Another important part is sometimes mediators will make decisions for the party and sometimes they don't. The practice that we have at the Neighborhood Mediation Center is we run the process. We help people understand which direction to go and when it's their turn to talk, but they make the decisions on what is actually going to be written down or handshook on. And that can be legally binding. So we do a lot of work in the courts. A big brunt of what we do is in Reno Justice Court, Sparks Justice Court, and now Incline Justice Court as well. And at the end of those, most of them, probably 95% of them, they fill out a piece of paper. Everybody signs it. The judge actually signs it too, and it's one of the most legally binding contracts they've ever signed at that point. They have to do what's on the paper, yeah.
Now, Hal, you're nodding your head over here because you have been on the justice of the peace side of this whole arrangement before you retired and then promptly unretired and started working in mediation. So tell me the value of a tool like this from the court's perspective.
Well, it takes a huge number of cases out of the court system. And it allows the parties to do things that the court can't order. If you go to court, it's kind of like a baseball game or a football game. There are serious rules and regulations that require us to enforce limitations on the evidence that's produced, methods of obtaining evidence, and there are restrictions on what I can order. In the mediation process, those are limited and almost gone. So the parties are free to do what they would like to do. In our court, we would assign an afternoon of small claims cases, and on that would have probably 10 small claims cases.
In one afternoon?
In one afternoon.
Like Judge Judy?
Well, yes, a little bit. But anyway, we would, then what happened is when we did institute the mediation program, they would come in, At that time, when I was doing it, it was voluntary. So I'd make an announcement that they could voluntarily do mediation, and then I would hear the case if they couldn't mediate it, so they didn't lose time. And then all of a sudden, 5, 6 cases would be gone. And I did not sleep during that time. We have lots of other things to do, but it freed up the afternoon, and it freed up a lot of time. And it gave me time to do other things. And then the thing I liked is that the people were able to resolve a matter in a way that was unique and meaningful to them. And the rigidity of the orders and limitations that I had and the restrictions on the testimony and things were gone. And so these people could do some, I mean, you know, one of the neatest things was early on in the program, I had announced that it was voluntary mediation, and the 2 gentlemen did not want to mediate. So they came in and they were presenting their case, and it appeared to me that this was a window sales person, a window business, and a contractor. And the contractor had designed these homes specifically with these particular windows involved. And so he needed the windows, and of course the seller needed the business, the plaintiff needed the business. But the contractor had fallen on some hard times and had run up a big debt. And so the poor plaintiff sued him to get his money. Well, I said, you know, it appeared to me that these two needed each other. So I said, I'm going to order you to go to mediation. I said, I'm not going to take this off calendar. And so they left, went and mediated. And at the end of the day, I was on a status. I wanted the status of each case. So I wondered what happened in this case. These 2 gentlemen came in. They were just elated. And they had resolved it so that the upshot was that the plaintiff, window seller, would charge him like $100 or $200 extra for each window, and that would be attributed to the deficiency. So it was just a perfect way to resolve this. The businesses remained in business, and they were very happy with each other, and it was a great resolution that I couldn't have ordered as a judge.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing too, because anyone who's dealt in the legal system understands how very expensive and stressful the process is. And the irony of it is you might spend more in legal bills trying to recoup lost money than what you get back, which is just ridiculous. Now what you offer is free, at least for the first few hours of mediation, correct? First 3 hours is free?
It is. First 3 hours, and then we have a sliding scale after that, so we don't turn down anybody for lack of funds.
So in 3 hours, can you resolve a lot of disputes?
About 95% of what we do, maybe higher, is resolved within 3 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I have to add that the great thing is those cases never, very, very few of those cases come back to the court for any additional court intervention.
Yeah.
So they're settled and they're happy and they're resolved.
And it's an interesting point you're bringing up, the creativity. So we have a coordinator right now that we get up in our small claims venue and give a talk in front of everybody before we start mediations. And he uses the word, it's okay to be creative here today, folks. And we see that a ton. You know, with a good mediator in the room and people that have been opened up to good conversations, they're able to come up with some creative stuff that judges oftentimes can't do. And it's really great. Stats-wise, and I'd love to tell a couple of stories here too, but stats-wise, in the courts right now, if 100 cases come into a court that's ordered mandatory mediation, the judges only see between 16 and 20, depending on the years. So the mediators are able to take about 85% of the cases off the workload of the court. That frees them up to do other things, and that feels really good. The other 2 big parts of our business are working in the community. So work in the courts, we work in the community, and that's what we did from the very beginning. This is our 25th anniversary. We're celebrating here on air.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And we've been doing that since the very beginning, and we serve a whole bunch of people every year. Like you're saying, for the first 3 hours is free. And we see everything from barking dog cases to mining dispute cases to a lot of workplace stuff that we get involved with, and a lot of family stuff. And that's, I think, a lot of our mediators crave the work because of the relationships that we end up saving. So there's so many different cases we've worked on with parents fighting with children, or brothers and sisters, all sorts of different things from, oh boy, you name it, whatever families fight about. Sometimes it gets really bad, and it's really wonderful to be part of helping them get better. Yeah.
So then, but within that, we don't do divorces, child custody issues, or evictions, correct? Those are your 3 no-nos?
Those are the 3 no-nos that we pass on to folks that do that kind of work.
But lots of other stuff could qualify for this. We don't have a ton of time left. Really quickly, if someone is watching this thinking, this is exactly what I need, is there a way that they can contact you? Do they need to qualify or go through a process, or can they just call?
They just call. Okay. It's wonderful. Yeah, we have a phone number. Can I give that phone number out?
Yeah, if you have it memorized, by all means.
775-788-2127, or go to our website at Mediate NMC, Neighborhood Mediation Center. So mediatenmc.com, and you'll find everything there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with our last little bit of time, money-wise, since you provide your services for free, how are you funded?
How do we do that exactly? Yeah. So let me start from the beginning, and I won't make this long, but so back in 1999, NRS code was developed that means that any county over 100,000 people has to have a service like we provide in that county. And so, and that contract goes out in both this and Clark County to have a service like this bid. And we have been winning that contract now for 25 years, basically.
But it's funded by a $5 fee charged for each paper filed with the court.
Yes.
Oh.
So it's just it's completely free.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
the people, the litigants, pay for it by this assessment on top of the
Incredibly
filing
important
fee.
point.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you've ever filed a legal document, there's a $5 fee that goes on to fund this mediation service.
Exactly, yeah. And
Very cool.
So a lot of our money comes in that way, and then we have contracts with about 7 or 8 different organizations right now to do private work or fee for service type things, trainings. That time, City of Reno. There's a bunch of customers we can talk about because it's all proactive work. And then we have fee for service trainings that we do quite a few of as well. So
okay.
Yeah, so that's the brunt of the money, and we're just starting to do some fundraising thinking right now. We're just dabbling in that. We've never done any fundraising for 25 years, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're I mean, sadly, because we really could talk about this for a lot longer, about out of time, but just quick final message on what you would really like people to take away from this. Hal, I'll start with you.
I think it's the volunteers that we have are some of the most amazing people I've ever been around. Mm-hmm. Their dedication, the lengths they go to interact correctly and help the people. The process is really helpful and amazing, and I urge anyone who has a problem to try this, because it really is it is dedicated people.
I love that. All right.
Anything
you wanted to add?
I would love to. That's a great, lovely answer. Thank you very much. I'd love to add to that on the flip side of that coin, we're really good at helping people that are in conflict, and we are looking for more mediators. We have 30 mediators right now, and we could use more. There's a lot of conflict out there that we would love to approach, and please, if we produce peacemakers in this town, and we would love to help people engage and become part of our community in doing this work. So
great way to spend your time. All right, both of you, thank you so much for coming on the show and for being peacemakers. We need those.
Well, thank you.
Times.
Thank you for doing what you do.
All right. Well, coming up on Face the State, the huge majority of startups will fail within their first few years. So how does a new business avoid that fate? A local incubator could help. We'll find out more after the break.